Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to paint with coffee. So the first things that you need is a cup of coffee. It can be a coffee made from a mocha, from a coffee machine, or from soluble coffee. If you have soluble coffee, that is probably the best way because it dissolves instantly even with cold water. So get yourself a cup of coffee and then you need some card. I've used the card from the bottom of a snack box, a Merendina box, and otherwise you could use some thicker cartridge paper if you have that. If your sketchbook has some thick paper, then you can use that. Ideally you would use watercolor paper, but I'm assuming that nobody has that available, so that is why I am saying card, because it absorbs a lot of water. And as painting with coffee is similar to painting with watercolors, that's why you need something that absorbs the water. So the first thing you need to do is paint a layer of the coffee onto your card, if you can see my example here. And then you need to paint your design. Okay. So you can paint anything you want. It doesn't have to be a portrait like I've done. It can be anything. It can be a plant, it could be a shell, it could be anything that you have in the house, okay? Anything that you feel like painting. But remember, you've only got one color. So this is really useful for learning how to apply shading and value and tone to your work. Okay, so first of all then, I'm going to start by doing from light to dark. If you don't have paintbrushes, then you could try painting with Q-tips, cotton buds, or you could try even with your fingers for the large areas. So I'm just going to go in now with some coffee. I've got my mid-tone here, and I'm going to go in and start painting some of the shadows, so just to see how dark I can get it. Okay, so here we go. It's quite hard holding this. I'll try and get as much detail done as possible while I'm filming. Okay, so as you can see, I'm putting in the main shadows, but actually they'll dry quite light. So I will go in even darker afterwards, but I just want to give myself kind of like a guideline at first so that I can see more clearly where the details are. Sorry if I keep going off camera, it's because I've got my phone in one hand and the paintbrush in the other, and it's not that easy doing two things at once. Okay, so this is my, hang on, where are you? This is my fine brush. It's, as you can see, it's a square tip. So I haven't really got a fine point on it. So I'll have to change brushes sooner to get the finer detail. Okay, I'm going to try and do a bit of hair. Now, I want to get stronger colour, and this is still quite mid-tone really. It's not really that dark. So I'll have to either go over it again or add more coffee. But I've got way too much water. There's way too much water here on this saucer to make a dark colour. So I'll have to get another saucer and just add the coffee and then just very slowly keep adding water until I get the right consistency. It needs to be probably quite syrupy, very thick, so that it will get very dark, because otherwise I'm going to have to layer a lot of coffee, and that might not work very well considering that I don't have the correct paper and I'm using card, and the paper will probably buckle the card even. It'll go wrinkly, and I don't really want that to happen because it will spoil the painting. Anyway, I think you can see what it's starting to take shape. Now you're starting to see the features, but it's something that needs to be done over a period of time. It's not something that can be done in 10 minutes. It's something that you really need to look at. You really need to look at the shadows on your object or whatever you're painting, so that you can decide where the darkness is, where the lightness is, and it really helps you to observe better and really pick out details, and also to make a realistic image in your work and not have a flat drawing like a cartoon, but it makes the form take more of a dimension, a 3-dimension. Oops, sorry if it keeps going. Okay, so as you can see, it's very easy to paint with. It's just like watercolor. Just the coffee. I mean, everything smells of coffee as I'm doing this, and it gives the room a really nice smell. And your paintbrush will smell of it in the paper, and it feels really nice when you're painting. Oops, you can't see, it's out of focus. Okay, so as you can see here, there's the mouth coming up. I don't really want to go into that without having the darker colour, but I'll just go over the top lip and hopefully I'll still be able to see the rest. You see, if you make a mistake as well, it's quite easy to correct. You get a dry brush and you just lift up the colour. Also, if you use a Q-tip, the earbuds, then that also you can pick up the coffee with that and just rub away your mistake. Okay, I'm just going to put it on pause and I'll come back to it when I've done a bit more and you can see the results. Bye for now. Hi again. As you can see, I've done a bit more, and you can see the darker tones that have started to pop out, and there's a mid-tone and a light tone. So the painting, this portrait, is really starting to take shape now, and I'm gonna just show you the dark tone that I've mixed up. So I used the coffee cup, and as you can see, I've hardly got any liquid in there at all. And I even still keep adding the granules to make it even more syrupy and darker. It's still quite a lot of water there than what I would have thought, but actually it needs to be as thick as possible if you want it really dark. Okay, so I'll just paint a bit more so you can see more of the colour and the detail. So I'm doing the hair now. So this girl has got curly hair, so I'm just using some swirling brush marks to give the suggestion of curls. Okay. And then, so she has a bit of a shadow as well on her neck. So I'm just going to darken that. And she also has a bit of a shadow under her nose towards her mouth. So just a very little bit of a matte and a bit of a suggestion there. And then on her nose, obviously there's a darker bit here where her nostril is. And then you just, when you want to blend, you just get another brush and you kind of blend it in with this dry brush. And it makes the edges blend together. Okay, so I'll show you now. I'm going to go around her face in a darker colour because it's like she's got a dark background behind her. So then I would get the other brush and just kind of blend that into the background like so. And you just keep doing that until you finish, until you're happy. So I'm still looking to get even darker tones here. So for me, I would like to add a bit more detail to accentuate her eyes a bit more. So I found another brush, smaller brush. Now, if you don't have paint brushes, like especially fine ones, you could try, this is quite a small dimension that I've done, but you could try doing like a larger face and using your fingers to paint with. You can experiment with if you don't have paint brushes. There's always something in the house anyway that you can paint with. I mean, you could even use a sponge, for example, and that would also just build up some texture and also spread the paint really nicely. It can be any sponge, it doesn't have to be a fancy sponge. And I'll just show you maybe even here. So with your fingers, look, you can even do it with your fingers. And then say you want to even that out a bit, then you'd use your sponge to like give it some evenness to it. That's what would happen with the sponge. Or you would have to build it up with layers. But for example, the hair, you could, using your fingerprints, it gives that even that circular effect and some texture. Okay, so have a go, see how it goes. You'll probably quite enjoy doing it because it's quite relaxing, but obviously choose something easy to paint, not something too difficult at first. And as you build up your confidence, then you can progress with what you're painting. So maybe you choose a piece of fruit to start with, or a plant, and then, see if you can do a portrait or do something more detailed. It's up to you. It has to be, something that you're going to have fun with. You could even just paint the cup of coffee if you wanted to. So have a go and enjoy it. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.